Hi everybody, it's been a long time since I've been on here and done a little tutorial for you, so I figured I'd pop on today, and I wanted to take the time to show you how I do my three mug mock-up. I use Photoshop, and it's very simple to do if you have Photoshop. I'm not really familiar with any other graphic editing programs. So the first thing I did, I went on to a site called VECTEEZY. It's a subscription site. Let's see. VECTEEZY, it's right here. I pay $14.99 I think a month for it. Well worth it. I use it every day. I get graphics, vectors, photos, whatever. So the first thing I did is I went on to PNGs. I went searching for a PNG of 3 mugs. So I just typed in mugs, and they got several different graphics of mugs here. Not where I found the one that I was looking for. Let's see. Let's say white mug. Okay, this is the one I use. So I downloaded this and I opened it in my Photoshop. I'm just going to go in Photoshop and I'm going to clear everything out now, except for everything. Control A, delete. Okay. So I'm going to go into my downloads and I'm going to open up that same file that I downloaded earlier. Downloads. 3 teacup mockup. That's the one. Today. Try it again. I just went out and bought a brand new computer not long ago, and it's supposed to be a gaming computer. But sometimes I really wonder. Let's see. Let's close this. Probably that's why it's not opening. Okay, file, open. 3 teacup. There we go. So this is the graphic that I started out with to do my mock-up. So it's nothing special, just 3 views of the same mug. You got your left side, your middle, and your right side. So this is the base that I use to create my mock-up. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm just going to click on this layer. I'm going to hit Shift Control N, and that'll add a new layer. I'm working off 2 monitors here, so sometimes my pop-ups come up on the other monitor. I'm just going to say OK to this, and it's going to add a new layer here for me. So I'm just going to fill that in white. I'm going to click on it, or beige. Let's fill it in beige, doesn't matter. Okay, so this is the base file. The way I try to do my mockups is so that I don't have to import the graphic 3 times. I just import it once, and then it duplicates, and it keeps the transformations that I apply to it for each layer. So we're going to right click on this, and we're going to change this to a smart object. So once I have it set up as a smart object, I'm going to just right click on it, and I'm going to say relink to file, and that'll tell it which file it wants to load in there. So I saved my design file for that mug as Ralphie on my desktop. Here we go, Ralphie. Okay, so you can see that it's pretty tiny. So you hit Control T. Actually, we're just going to leave that as is. We're going to right click and we're going to duplicate it. Duplicate layer. Say OK. Here we go again. It's over on the other monitor. Okay. OK. So we're going to rename this layer Ralphie to base layer. And we're going to turn the visibility off, and I'm going to just move that right up to the top. I'm going to keep my base layer at the top. Okay, so Ralphie copy. We're going to call this left side. I'm going to duplicate this again. Actually, I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to duplicate my base layer. Duplicate layer. This is going to be called right side. And I'm going to duplicate the base layer again, and I'm going to call it middle. Oops. Double click here to rename it. Middle. Okay. And I'm going to slide the base layer up to the top again. I'm going to turn the visibility on all three of these layers. I'm just going to highlight all three of them, holding my shift key, and I'm going to hit Control T, and we're going to resize these base layers to approximately the size that we would want them to be for the mug. Okay, that looks about maybe a little big. I'll just move that a little smaller. Okay, so all three of these layers now are the same size. We hit enter. So our left side layer is where it should be. Our middle, we're going to do something a little special with the middle. We're going to hit right side and hit Control T, and we're going to move this over. And you can see all the design comes with it because it's all there, but we'll mask that out now shortly. Okay. So let's turn off the middle layer visibility for now. Actually, we can turn off all three visibilities. So we're going to work on the mask for the right side layer, or sorry, the left side layer. So to do that, oops, lost my layers. Here they are. To do that, we'll get our magic wand tool, and I'm just going to make sure my tolerance is up here to 255, and I'm just going to click on this mug, and I'm on the wrong layer. So let's just hit Control D to deselect. Click on your layer with your mugs on it. Click in your left hand mug, and it selects everything for the mask. The handle's included, but that's okay because the graphic doesn't fall onto the handle anyway. So we'll turn on the left side visibility, and right down here at the bottom it looks like a little camera. We'll just I don't know if it's an actual camera or what it is. So we'll just click on that, and that masked out everything. That's because we were on our mug layer. We didn't want to be on our mug layer, we want to be on the left side layer. So we just slide that up to the left side, and now everything in that design is not visible except for what's supposed to be on the left side. Okay, so we're going to go back to our mug layer again, and with our magic wand, I'm going to move this layers palette out of the way here so you can see what I'm talking about. Click on your right side mug. Now I can't see half my layers. Let's just slide it out. Goodness. Okay. There. So now we have our right mug view masked out. So we go to where it says right side, turn visibility on. You can see all the design shows up. We want to just click on right side, hit our little mask button down at the bottom here. And now you can only see what was on the right side. Okay, so let's turn the visibility off for the left side and the right side. We're going to do something a little different with the middle. So with the middle, just hit your selection tool, drag it over, and you can see that with this you can kind of see a little bit of the text, and you can kind of see a little bit of the dog. If you move it around a little bit, you want to see a bit more than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to resize this, but we're not going to resize it proportionally. We're not going to go and grab it and make it all smaller like that. I'll hit Control Z to put it back to where it was. We're going to hold our Shift key, and we're just going to make it a little narrower. So that way when we center this up here on our mug, you can see a lot more of the text and a lot more of the dog. So we're going to go back to our mug layer, get our magic wand tool again, and we're going to click on the mug, and that's going to give us our area to mask out this middle. So click on the middle layer again, hit your mask button at the bottom, and now you can see the bit of the dog. You can see the dog's name, and you can see some of the text that's on the right left hand side of the mug. Okay, so now that we've done that, we want to make it a little bit warped, because you can see the front of the mug here is warped this way, the bottom of the mug is warped this way on all three versions of this mug. So we're going to warp this design a little bit. So when you add the transformation, the warp on the design, when you go back and reload a different mug design, that transformation will automatically be applied. And I'll show an example of that now in just a minute. So for our left side, we're going to click here, we're going to hit Control T, and you can see it shows you the bound. You can only see what's not masked out, but the rest of it is still there. If you right click on this and say disable layer mask, it all shows up again, but we want the mask enabled. Okay, so we'll do that again. We'll click in here, hit Control T. Now we're going to hit the warp transformation. So right at the top here, there's a little warp button. You just click on that, and that gives you a grid. So with the warp, you can grab it and drag it around and make it all warped up however you like. But there's a little bit more of a controlled way of doing it, so that it gets a bit more even warp. So I'm just going to hit Control Z to undo that. Right here, there's a split section. So the split I want to add is right here. So I'm going to add that about right here on the edge of the outside of the mug. And I'm going to add another vertical split on this side of the mug with the handle. And you can see that when I was fooling around with it earlier and I put a little bit of a warp on it, the warp stayed. So let's just Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. There, it's back the way it should be. We're going to get that vertical warp split again, and we'll put that here. And we'll get another vertical warp split, and we'll put that here. So now what happens when I grab this handle and haul it up to the top of the edge of the mug, and this up to the edge of the mug, this down to the bottom of the mug almost. Okay, so still not warped. So if you click right here, you can pull this down a little bit, and you can see the rest of it is warping out of shape, but that doesn't matter because you can't see that anyway on that layer. So just move it down. It just gives it a little tiny bit of a curve. It's not really enough to notice, but I guess it's a little more pleasing to the eye, I think. Okay, so you hit enter here, and kind of looks like the text is taking the shape of the mug somewhat. If that was straighter text or an image, you'd probably notice it more. Okay, so I've done that transformation. I'm going to do something similar now with the middle, and that might be a little bit more noticeable. So I'm going to hit Control T. I'm going to go back into my warp transformation. I'm going to get my vertical splits and put here, and oops, one right here. So now I'm going to drag this up to the top, and I'm going to take these little handles and I'm going to drag it down. And down at the bottom I'm going to do the same. I'm going to click right here on the end of this little split, and I'm going to pull it down, and I'm going to pull this down. And you can pull it down a little bit more than that if you like. Okay, and you can pull this edge up a little bit more too if you'd like to have it a little more exaggerated. But you don't want to go up too far because you don't want the picture hanging over the top of the mug. You still want to have that little bit of space between the top of the mug and the top of the picture. Okay, so we can hit enter, and that part is done. We're going to do the same thing with the right hand side of the mug now. So we'll go just hit our little thumbnail there. You hit Control T, you hit your warp button, you get your vertical split, and you put it there, and you get another vertical split and put it over here. So again, I'm going to drag this up to the top. You notice it's very close to the top, but we'll rectify that in a minute. I'm going to move this up a little bit to the edge of the mug. Okay, so for this, I'm going to grab and I'm going to drag it down, just so that it follows roughly the shape of the bottom of the mug. And I'm going to do the same thing up here. Okay. So that's your mock-up done. We're going to add a background layer to that now. So I'm just going to click on my layer 1. I'm going to hit Shift Control N and enter. And I am going to get my rectangular selection tool here, and I'm going to just drag a rectangle at the bottom, and I'm going to fill it in with black. So I click black, my flood fill tool, and hit black. Okay, so now and you notice that it's above the mugs, so it looks a little weird. You just drag that down below the mugs. Okay, so I'm going to hit Shift Control N now to put another layer on here. And I'm going to hit Shift Control I, and that'll invert the selection. So anything that was selected before will no longer be selected, and anything that was not selected now is selected. So I'm going to give that a color. I'm going to go like a taupey color, because we're going to change it in a minute anyways. Okay, so hit Control D. So you can see it kind of looks like a mug, 3 mugs sitting on a table with a little bit of a background. Okay. But we're not done yet. So I'd like to give this like a hardwood, rustic wood looking little kind of, where am I going to get that? That's what I had before, but I don't want to use the same one. I could do it because I have it in here already, I think. I can double click it, and I could say pattern overlay, and I already got that wood here, but I'm going to go with a different wood. Let's go back to our VECTEEZY. VECTEEZY is my go-to. So instead of PNGs, I want a photo. So I want it to look real. So I'm going to type in wood planks. And I'm going to say vertical wood planks. There we go. Now, which ones do I like? I kind of like this one. We'll go with that one. That's AI generated. You can see that it said AI in the corner, but I don't care. Okay, so that's downloaded. As soon as that opens now, I will double click it and it will open up in Photoshop. Okay. So let's go into edit here and we'll say define pattern. I'm going to see how that looks. I might have to modify it a little bit. Oops, get rid of that. Nah, that's Ralphie. It's a picture I downloaded off VECTEEZY. See, where'd my mug go? 3, there it is. Okay, so now that I've defined that wood texture as a pattern, I can go double click on this layer, go in here and select pattern overlay, and now I'll change it to this, and you can see that it covers itself. So I got to change the scale on this. I got to make it bigger, and that probably was not the best. It's not bad. Let's try it anyway. So we'll say OK. So what I do with that now, I right click and I'll say rasterize layer style, and I'll hit Control T. I'll hit Control minus to zoom it out because I got to warp this way over here. So I'm going to hit my Control key, and that's going to drag this over and make it look like real board. And I'm just going to go, it's kind of making it look a little far away. I think it's good there. And I will do the same on this corner. Give it a little, it gives it a little bit more dimension. Okay. I think that's good. Okay, so let's zoom back in. Hit Control plus plus plus, or you can also hold your Alt key and roll your mouse wheel, and that'll zoom you in as well. Okay. So that's the base, the countertop or the table, have whatever you want to call it. So I also want to give this wall a little bit of a pop here. So before I went in and I looked up wallpaper, I'm going to do wallpaper again, floral. You can do it whatever you want. You can put stripes, you can put nothing, you can just put a color there. floral wallpaper. I don't like that. I want something with a little bit of a pattern to it. Small pattern. Let's see. Striped wallpaper. Doesn't look real. I'm going to find something that looks real. I like something like this if I could get it small enough. This looks like it might be a repeating pattern. Maybe not. Oh well, I'll grab this anyway. Copy image, go back into my Photoshop. I'm just going to click here. I'm going to hit Control V. It's probably too tiny. It is very tiny. Sometimes you can stretch stuff out and it doesn't lose the resolution. Other times you can't. It's a mystery to me. So I'm just going to do that. Hit enter here and it looks half decent. Now you're saying that's covering everything. Well, not for long, because this is the top part of our wall. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say select pixels. I'm going to back into the wallpaper here, and I will be replacing that wallpaper. I'm going to put a mask on it. So it is rather big. I don't really like it. Let's see. See if I can find my other. There's the one I used before. I'm just going to hit Control C and go back into my little mock-up here. I'm going to click on this layer. I'm going to hit Control V. I'm going to stretch that out. It doesn't need to be stretched that much. There. That looks pretty good. So I'll just move that mask up. I'll take this layer off. I can delete this. Okay. So you can see now it looks like a little table with a little bit of wallpaper. Now the next thing that I want to do is add a bit of a shadow to these mugs to make them look a little more dimensional. So to do that, I get these 4 layers. Layer 1 is basically our mugs with no design on it. I'll just turn the visibility back on here. I'm going to choose these 4 layers. I'm going to hit Control G to put them into a group. Now I'm going to add a layer style to that with a drop shadow to that group, so that'll do it to all the objects in the group. Okay. So for the drop shadow, let's see. I got it set to multiply black. The opacity, you can move it up or down. You can play with the sliders for the distance, the angle, so you can just use this little spinner here to move the angle around if you like. Okay, global light or no. I'll turn that off. Let's see. Okay, so it still looks a little weird there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my size and play with the spread and the size of the shadow. So you can play around with it until it looks fairly natural. I think that looks pretty good. Distance, I can move that down a little bit. Move the spread. See, if you move it up too high, it looks like way too much light in front of those mugs. If you move it down, like if you turn everything off altogether, you get nothing. Okay, so size, that's not bad there. Spread, you can crank that up a tiny little bit if you like. And distance. You can also turn the opacity down on it so that you can see the hint of a shadow there, but you can't really tell really that there's a shadow there. Okay. Alrighty. So that's your basic mug mock-up. Now, let's go back into my mug design here. Mug template. So let's go in and get another picture of a cute little girl dog. I got so much going on here. Let's go back to VECTEEZY. VECTEEZY. Girl dog. We don't want vectors, we want actual photos. And we'll hit search. Girl dog. Oh, this is cute. Use this one. That's another AI generated image. She's awful perfect looking. Sit download now. And let's hit Control A, Control C. Go back to our mug template. Now, oh, that's not our mug template. That's our mug mock-up. Let's find it. This little handy little button here shows you all your different files that you got open. I want the mug template. So I'm going to paste this. I'm going to hit Control V. It's way too big, so I'm going to hit Control T. So I'm just going to, so you can enter in your percentage or your size that you want it here, but I just rather just drag this down and move it up and keep doing that until I get it where I want it. Okay, so I want it roughly about this size. Okay, so I'm going to drag that under the picture that's already there. Now I'm going to click on this and I'm going to right click and I'm going to say select pixels. And that's a feathered selection. So when I turn this off and I click on this layer with this girl and this little dog in it, and I drag these layers up and hit my mask button, it's also going to give me another feathered selection. Okay? And I'm going to change this wording to dog love. Okay, that's kind of big. I'll make it a little smaller. So yeah, for your mug templates you can use whatever font you want. This is just to give you an idea how to do a really easy mug mock-up with Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, yeah, there's a link in the description below where you can go and get a free trial. I think they still have the free trials on. I'm going to say just a girl and her dog. Okay, that's pretty big. I'm also going to change the font on that. I'm going to change that to Lemonade, I think. I love that Lemonade font. Lemonade, I don't have it. Shoot. Let's try this one. Okay. We'll make that like a 48. Just a girl and her dog. And that is called, what did I say? Kristen. And we're going to change this to Christian as well. Kristen. My dog is outside having a fit. Kristen. Now, I'm going to go and get some little hearts to put in here. Where am I getting hearts so I can grab them off Google? Google. Hearts. Images. Wikipedia. Can't go wrong with Wikipedia. I'm just going to right click and copy. I think I can do that. It might come up all black. I'm not sure. Sometimes it does. And I'll click here. I'll hit Control V. Oh yeah, it does. But that's easy enough because I'll just get my selection tool. It's on 255 right now for the tolerance. I'll change that back to 32. Click on the heart. Control C, Control V. Now it pastes the heart. and I'll just get rid of this. So I'm going to size this down, hit Control T and drag it down. Do that right there. And I'm going to zoom her in. Control T. Get my little angled things here. Hit there. And I'll move that. Just put that there. And hit enter. And hit Control V again. Move that over about right here. I think that looks fairly cute. So I'm going to save that as, actually, I can't save it as, I'm going to have, because it won't give me the option to save it as a PNG. On Photoshop 21, I think it was, you can actually save as a PNG, but in this one you got to export as a PNG. It's kind of a pain in the arse. Let's see, we'll call this one Girl and Dog. And I'll save it to my desktop. I'll delete all that crap later. Okay, so now I got that file saved. We're going to go back into our Mockup again, and I'll show you how to change this file without having to do all this work again. If you save this as a PSD file, you only ever got to open it up when you got a new mug template, new mug design. You go to your base layer, you right click, you say relink to file, and you find your file, Girl and Dog. So it's loading, and there you have it. That's your Mockup. And if you're doing this and you do a lot of mugs, you can have several different backgrounds and tabletops, and you can just swap out the visibility on them. Sometimes you might have a mug for a little girl, and you might want a nice pink background with like a white sparkly countertop. Or you might have a mug for your teacher, so you might want to have a blackboard background and look like a desk or oak desk or something like that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it for you. I love doing this Mockup stuff. I've been playing with it quite a bit, and I've become somewhat of a fanatic about it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel. I'm not fairly new anymore. I used to say I was fairly new, but I'm not anymore. But I'm still very small, and I'd like to boost this channel up to the point that I can actually start doing a lot more videos and getting some return from my efforts. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.